Hey everyone, Reaper here again with another video. This time I'm working on another mini-series called Underrated or Undervalued Books. Now, I've done something similar to this a year ago with my Reaper picks. I don't remember which one, where I showed about maybe 8, 9, 10 books that I felt were underrated or undervalued. Well, I'm expanding on that with this series. So you might see those 8 or 9 books in some of the videos that I'm going to make on this series. But I added quite a few more. So let's get started. I think it's a little undervalued. I don't think it's that expensive. Here we have one. Now, if you can't get Captain Britain #1, which is his first appearance, you might want to try to get this. Marvel Team Up number 65. This is his first U.S. appearance. And it's also the first appearance of Arcade and it's cheap. It's not that expensive. I don't think it costs more than maybe, I don't know, 10, 15 bucks. Here's another book that you could get pretty cheap that I think is undervalued. It is Batman 258. It's the first appearance, well, first mentioning of Arkham Hospital, which is Arkham Asylum. The higher grade, I don't know what grade this is. I have to double check the back, but it's probably a mid-grade book. You could probably get a mid-grade book for like 30 bucks or something like that. As the grades get higher, you're going to be paying more, but still fairly cheap, considering the importance of Arkham Asylum, how important it's been in the Batman mythos. Here's another one that I think is pretty cheap. Avengers 181, the first appearance of Scott Lang. Yeah, for a character that showed up in the Avengers, I think this book is fairly affordable. I mean, I don't know exactly what it runs right now. I think it's a little, maybe about $100. This is pretty high grade. This is a pretty high grade copy, so it might run you $100, $150. So it's not that bad, considering that Scott Lang has become an important part of the Avengers movies. There we go. This was, I think, in one of my previous videos where I mentioned it was undervalued or underrated. Caliber Presents #1. This is the first appearance of the Crow. Now, I know a lot of people argue that, what is it, Dead World? Dead World 10 is the first appearance of the Crow. I know he shows up in a preview. Well, that's up for debate. But I think it's widely believed, rather, that Caliber Presents 1 is his first appearance. I'm never a fan. I was never a fan of the front cover, but I am a fan of the back cover. Now that is badass. Too bad they didn't keep that image when they made Crow #1. They did an image similar to that, but they showed more of his face, and he had more of had more melancholy about his face. Here's one. I think this is undervalued right now. I really do. X-Men Annual number 14. This is the cameo appearance, first cameo appearance of Gambit. You could still get this book, I think, for, pretty high, a decent high grade, too. I'm not talking 9.8 or 9.6, but maybe 9.0s you could probably get for like maybe 25 bucks. That's not bad. I mean, that's if you want a 9.0. I mean, if you want something higher, then that's a different story. Yeah, I can't tell you how much I love this book. X-Men 117, the first appearance of the Shadow King. I know Shadow King may not be the most famous or well-liked of the X-Men villains, but I think he's one that has the most potential. You can do a lot with him. You could really make him a terrifying character. And I'd like to see him in a movie. I really would. Here's another one. This is the first Showcase 55. This is the first Silver Age appearance of Solomon Grundy. I think a lot of people like this book and know of it. I don't think it's that valuable. I mean, I have an 8.0 copy. I don't think it's going to cost you beyond like $200, in that grade. I mean, I don't know. I haven't checked. I've had this for years. But I haven't checked recently, I should say. But I think it's still pretty affordable, and I think sometimes it does go a little undervalued. I think Solomon Grundy is a little undervalued or underrated. You could use those two terms interchangeably. All-Star 58, the first appearance of Power Girl. Now, I know this book heated up a couple years ago, and then it's sort of just like, fizzed out. But I still think it's a pretty cool book. A little underrated. Power Girl has become pretty popular, for two reasons, but still, definitely I think you could get this copy, a high-grade copy, for maybe about a little over $100. Here's another one I think is undervalued. This is the Amazing Spider-Man 42, the first full appearance of Mary Jane. Yeah, I mean, of course, like your 9.6s, your 9.8s, your 9.0s will run you some money, but I think you get like a 7.5, 8.0. It's not that much. You would think that it would be a lot of money, but it just isn't. It just isn't in the scheme of things when it comes to importance of some of these characters and some value, the value of some of these books. I think Mary Jane is definitely a little undervalued and underrated. I think largely because the cover isn't really that good. I mean, I hope I'm not offending any John Romita fans. I think that's sort of why maybe the book doesn't go for as much. It's just kind of underwhelming cover. Here's another one. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think it's undervalued and underrated. First appearance of the Hobgoblin. Look, the Hobgoblin in the early to mid-'80s, before Venom came on the scene, he was the villain of Spider-Man. He took over as the main bad guy. Sure, you still had Dr. Octopus and some of the other guys around, of course. But he was just everywhere, the Hobgoblin. He was so cool. He was just, a real dicked-up version of the Green Goblin. And I don't like the way they ended it with him. I think it was kind of corny. But I think that this is definitely... I would like to get another copy of this personally. I think I have... what do I have? I have a 7.5 maybe. I think it's a 7.5. I'd like to get a 9.0 or higher. And it still probably won't cost you that much. It'll probably cost you under $200. That's not bad. Last two. And I know I showcased these before. I think this is undervalued. Incredible Hulk 182. It's undervalued for now. And it's the third appearance of Wolverine. He only shows up, I think, on the first page, and then that's it. But I still think it's a little undervalued for that Wolverine trilogy that appeared in the Incredible Hulk from 180 to 182. And, of course, here we have 180. For what it is, I know this book can run you up to, depending on the grade, several $100s or maybe even over $1,000 depending on the grade. But that really is nothing, because if you're sure, I'm sure if you're spending about $1,000 on this book, you're getting a high grade copy. Who knows? This book, a lot of people think it's going to eventually get more and more valuable. It's not going to catch up to the 181, but I think a lot of people are going to be moving away from the 181 and maybe get this, which you see at the very end. His Wolverine's full blown on the last page. You see, full appearance, full body artwork. So I know there's a debate on, is it a cameo? Well, it's considered a cameo, but you could always do what ETA Nick says. So just get both, 180 and 181. But for those of you that can't get 180, this one you could probably get a mid-grade for a few $100s, and still be proud that you have the first cameo appearance of Wolverine. Well, thank you all for watching. I'll have a couple of these come out over the next few months. Hope you stay tuned and watch. Take care.